Welcome to the Memory Pool. My name is June Hayden, and I am one of the leaders of a memoir writing group called Past Forward. We are located in Charleston, Illinois, and we are very excited about our new YouTube channel and eager to share our memoirs with you. We hope that together with you, we will share in life's experiences. And now, I'd like to introduce Phyllis Bayles. She will join our authors and bring you right into our memory pool. Enjoy!
Welcome to the wonderful world of memoirs. Our group is made up of business people, homemakers, teachers, librarians, musicians, artists, and retirees from many professions and jobs. Since its inception, the Pass Forward Writing Group has flourished. Public readings of our work have drawn audiences numbering in the hundreds, and based on those public appearances and our number of book sales right here, we estimate that several thousand people have enjoyed our stories. Now, about memoirs. Do you remember green stamps, the milkman, 25 cents a gallon for gas, wash tubs with those ringers, erector sets and Lincoln logs? And how about Halo shampoo and that sales pitch that Halo was the shampoo that glorified your hair? I bet you can make a very long list of the things you remember, starting with yesterday and then going all the way back to your childhood. Today's stories have captured moments in time. You'll hear about the gentle memories that something as simple as a tea towel can make. And then there's the ruckus. Do you remember that word, ruckus? Well, there's the ruckus a father caused with his shocking Christmas tree decorations. And was a little girl headed towards a spanking? Well, anyway, now let's listen to these stories from our memory pool.
Serendipity, a 55-word story. Decorating for Christmas, I saw some tea towels my mother had given me last year. I lamented, knowing she wouldn't be giving me any this year. Already the holidays are difficult, but little touchstones remind you anew. Today, I received a Christmas gift bag from Adam's girlfriend's Jewish mother. What was inside? Christmas tea towels.
Christmas, the most wonderful time of the year. Even as a child, I loved everything about it: the lights, the music, the tasty treats, and the general excitement leading up to that most special day. However, it was this very love of the season that got me in trouble one year and almost resulted in my first ever spanking from my father. Now, don't think I've never experienced corporal punishment. I can well remember the sting of a switch freshly cut from a tree in our backyard against my bare legs, and the horror of being smacked with a fly swatter, likely the same one used to smash flies and other insects. Punishment at our house was always swift and certain, and always administered by our barely 5 foot tall, red-headed mother, who was a firm believer in the Bible verse, "Spare the rod and spoil the child." While she did make an exception for my autistic sister, suffice it to say, my brother and I were never spoiled. But I digress. The Christmas tree, that most majestic of Yuletide symbols, always seemed to herald the unofficial beginning of the holiday season, which could never start soon enough for me. I realized that some people don't put up their trees until Christmas Eve, so I didn't mind too much that Mom insisted we wait until after Thanksgiving. But once Thanksgiving was over, I was unwilling to wait even one more day. This particular year, however, it was early December and I was becoming increasingly agitated because we had no Christmas tree yet. The decorations and lights around the courthouse square had been up for several days, and many of the houses in the neighborhood displayed brightly lit trees in their front windows. But my long wait was finally almost over. For this very evening, we were going to the home of a family friend who had offered to let us cut a tree from his woods. Tonight, we would decorate our freshly cut tree, and tomorrow morning, I would put on a Christmas record, plug in the lights, and admire the beauty of the Christmas tree while enjoying the magic of the season. I replayed this scene in my mind several times throughout the day. However, my excitement quickly gave way to disappointment that evening when Dad announced we would have to postpone our tree cutting to another day. Perhaps he had to work overtime, and with the waning daylight hours, darkness would certainly have overtaken us before we'd have time to cut and load the tree. I begged and whined, whimpered and pouted, but to no avail. My disappointment quickly turned to anger, which rapidly escalated to a full-blown conniption. "We're never going to get a Christmas tree," I shouted as I stomped off. Now, I must admit, I was a little too old to engage in this type of behavior. But this was serious. I had already waited way too long, and we still had no Christmas tree. Mom was unsympathetic. Fed up with my behavior, she marched from the kitchen and stood in the doorway with her hands planted on her hips, her jaw clenched, and her face set like flint, glaring at the scene unfolding before her. "Whip her, Alvin," she barked at my dad. "If you don't whip her, I will." Without speaking a word, Dad obediently began unbuckling his belt. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. This was my meek and gentle father who had never laid a hand on any of us kids, who had never even raised his voice in anger at us. This was the same man who always talked my mom out of signing the permission form for school vaccinations in early December, protesting, "They'll have a sore arm for Christmas." My fury abruptly turned to panic. Dad had never whipped us before. I must be in real trouble now. My eyes fixed on the doorway leading from the living room into my parents' bedroom. Quickly, I formulated a plan. Each room in our house had 2 interior doorways, forming a circle through the entire house. I started running toward the bedroom doorway with Dad close behind me. My plan was to seek refuge in the bathroom. Once I'd been able to put enough distance between us, I would quickly lock both doors and remain in solitude until the danger of punishment had passed. I picked up some speed and continued the course, building momentum with each lap until finally I calculated I had sufficient time to lock the door before Dad could reach me. With the first door successfully locked, I moved hastily to the second door, slamming it closed and swiftly turning the lock. Then I drew in a deep breath and exhaled a sigh of relief. I remained barricaded in the bathroom for several minutes, with my ear pressed to the door nearest the kitchen. Finally, things got quiet, and I heard my sister Vicky say the blessing. Whew. They must be sitting down to supper. I waited a few more minutes just to be sure my parents' anger had subsided. Then I quietly opened the door and listening for any indication that I might need to make a quick retreat, I carefully tiptoed into the adjoining bedroom and peeked into the kitchen. The scene I observed would surely have made Norman Rockwell smile. Mom, Dad, Lowell, and Vicki were all seated around the table, peacefully enjoying their evening meal. I cautiously proceeded to the kitchen and meekly slid into my chair at the table. Rather subdued by now, I filled my plate and began eating. I spoke not a word about Christmas trees for the rest of the evening. And that first ever spanking from Dad? It never did happen. This next story was written by Julia Hartman Ray and is read by her daughter, Shelley Ray Crouch.
The Year Daddy Decorated the Tree by Julia Ann Hartman Ray, my mother. I must have been about 11, my sister Diana 9, and my brother Monty 7, when we awoke that Christmas morning in Ludwigsburg, Germany, to raised voices. Well, mostly Mama's angry, scolding voice over Daddy's soft muttering and mumbling. We three rushed from our bedrooms to the hall, met each other's eyes, and proceeded hurriedly but cautiously into the living room. There, we were quite surprised to learn what the ruckus was all about. It was the Christmas tree. Over top of the colored lights, glass balls, homemade ornaments, and tons of tinsel were several pairs of women's underwear. And not the full-bodied to the waist white or pink ones our mother wore either. These were, well, skimpy, colors of the rainbow, and embroidered with, yes, the days of the week. Wow. Mama was desperately trying to remove these unseemly items, those she could reach anyway, from the brightly lit tree. She was a good foot and a half shorter than Daddy, who'd placed them there. We kids were glued to the floor with our mouths wide open, listening to her tirade of, "What were you thinking?" and "The children!" and "Of all the idiotic, stupid things." It was pretty obvious, even to me, that Daddy hadn't thought beyond the decorating itself. We thought that this was all an amusing twist to Christmas, but were smart enough not to show our feelings and just to lay low. Things finally calmed down and we went on to our Christmas morning routine. Christmases came and went through the years, and Daddy continued to have only sporadic success in his choice of gifts for Mama.
On behalf of the Past Forward memoir writers, thank you for joining us today. If you would like to hear more of our stories, we invite you to subscribe to our channel. And if you enjoyed today's presentation, please give us a thumbs up. We look forward to seeing you again soon.